now, let's change the subject to economic matters. Rwanda's economy grew by 9.8% in the second quarter of 2024, with the service sector driving the growth, contributing 47% to the country's gross domestic product, according to figures released by the National Institute of Statistics and Minecofin. Adam Squizera files the report.
On Monday, the National Institute of Statistics and the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning announced the latest figures of the gross domestic product, GDP. The growth at the current market prices was estimated at 4,515 billion Rwandan francs, up from 3,972 billion Rwandan francs in the second quarter of 2024. The service sector contributed 47%, agriculture 25%, and the industry sector 21%. In these figures, it was highlighted that agriculture saw an overall performance, with food crops increasing by 8%, largely due to Season A 2024 production. However, the exportation of cash crops like tea and coffee experienced a 6% decline, mainly due to season factors. This reduction went back to back with one of the mining sector, as noted by Director General of the National Institute of Statistics, Ivan Murenzi.
Around this quarter two, given the weather seasons, some of the mining activities are affected, especially in April and May, a bit half of May. So the other factor is always also around price expectations for mining, because mining is an activity where you can mine and store what we record is exports. So those three factors would explain what we see around mining. As regards to the growth and the prices, indeed this is where we see alignment, because if we talk of growth in agriculture, then we should see that inflation also has gone down. If we still had a high inflation, that would be a bit a conflict. But what we have seen is that with a good harvest of Season A, the prices of food crops have substantially gone down, and our basket of inflation is mainly made up of food. So if food is stable, general inflation will go down.
The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Yusuf Murangwa, noted that a positive trajectory across sectors should be maintained and built on to achieve the recently approved Second National Strategy for Transformation, NST2. He noted that this progress reinforces the promise of achieving the goal of 85% in service delivery as outlined in this NST2. This growth reflects the country's ongoing commitment to improving the quality of services, a key focus on its development agenda.
And what we are going to do is that in NST2, after cabinet approval and right on the Prime Minister's presentation to Parliament, we are now looking at the details to do two things. We are now looking at the details, one, to see how we think through implementation so that implementation can be quick. Implementation can be quick, especially with the projects that are going to be proposed for implementation, so that we see a fast track of increasing in capacities to deliver the services, in almost all these areas that we are talking about. But we also want to work with the private sector to see that the private sector also does its role, because there are so many things that need to be done by the private sector, especially as for example, I said hotels and restaurants. We know hotels and restaurants are very important, especially in facilitating like tourism and MICE and everything. So this is a major role for the private sector. So a lot of engagement with the private sector, like serious fast-tracking implementation of the projects that we need to implement in NST2.
The National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda also announced that Rwanda's economy is projected to continue its upward trend, with the projection of 6.6% growth in 2024, following the growth of 8.2% realized in 2023. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News, Kigali.